Today on the Reliable Bible Podcast, we're going to examine Cain's fate after killing his brother Abel and answer the question, was Cain a fugitive or a family man? Welcome back to the show, everyone. Thank you for joining me today as we examine the scriptures to prove just how reliable the Bible is. Today's contradiction claim is from the Skeptic's Anointed Bible, author Steve Wells, concerning Cain's fate after killing his brother Abel. The scriptures that we are going to be comparing are Genesis 4:11 and 12 and Genesis 4:16 and 17. Starting with Genesis 4:11 through 12, Cain has just killed his brother Abel, and God is proclaiming Cain's punishment. It reads, "And now thou art cursed from the earth, which hath opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand. When thou tillest the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto thee her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond shalt thou be in the earth." And next is Genesis 4:16 through 17. "And Cain went from the presence of the Lord, and dwelt in the land of Nod, on the east of Eden. And Cain knew his wife, and she conceived, and bare Enoch. And he built a city, and called the name of the city after the name of his son Enoch." The claim is that these scriptures contradict themselves because Cain was cursed to be a wanderer, but then settles down, raises a family, and builds a home, which is very contradictory to the vagabond lifestyle. So let us look closer at these scriptures. First, the King James Version says in verse 11, Cain is cursed from this earth. This is a translation issue. A source I like to use when studying translation is Shabbat.org, which is a Jewish website, and on this website, they have the Torah, or Old Testament, in English and in Hebrew side by side. And what I like about this is that the people who did this website are Jewish themselves and speak Hebrew. So according to their translation of verse 11, it says, "And now you are cursed even more than the ground." If you remember, when Adam and Eve were sent away from the Garden of Eden, God cursed the ground in Genesis 3:17 to make it difficult to grow from it, and Adam would have to work hard to produce crops. God has punished Cain just as God punished Cain's father Adam in Genesis chapter 3. God curses Cain to have to work to grow crop, and also further curses the ground on Cain's behalf in verse 12 to not produce at its fullest. Now let us look at the end of verse 12. God has cast away Cain into the life of a fugitive and vagabond, or so the King James Bible has translated. Again, according to Shabbat.org, verse 12 translates to God made Cain a wanderer and an exile in the land. We read fugitive in the King James translation, and we have a different idea of the status that God punished Cain with. We get the impression from this that Cain was cursed to be seen as a criminal and everyone should stay away from him. But God did not punish him with a life of loneliness. God did not punish him to be a fugitive, but an exile from his home. So the question is, if he was cursed to be a wanderer, why does he end up getting married, having a family, and building a city? Well, we read that he left his home and was never to return, and he ended up in the land of Nod. Nod is not a name of a town or a city, but a location where people like Cain go. The land of Nod translates to the land of wanderers. The word Nod comes from the Hebrew word wanad, which translates to wanderer. So, since God punished Cain and the ground on his behalf, where better of a place to send Cain than to a location where the ground is not ideal for farming? God cursed him to be a wanderer, and Cain immediately heads east to the land of wanderers. It seems Cain has knowledge of this place because he went directly there when God exiled him, which leads me to believe, based on these translations, that this is what God's punishment was, that he was to leave his home and go to the land of Nod, or the land of wanderers. And he was not punished to wander aimlessly and have nowhere to call home, but punished to an uninhabitable land where life will be tremendously difficult. Other wanderers were already there, so it's highly possible that Cain met a woman and raised a family. Then, as we read, Cain took it upon himself to make the land of Nod a city, and he renamed it Enoch after his son Enoch. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you again for listening, and if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or corrections, go to reliablebible.com and fill out the contact form, or if you're watching on YouTube, leave your comments below. Also, on the website, you can find past episodes. It's a great way to share this podcast with your friends and family. You can also reach me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Reliable Bible. And don't forget to follow the page and share the post. If you have not subscribed on YouTube or wherever you are streaming this podcast right now, I hope you will consider to do so. And don't forget to rate and leave a comment for the show on your podcast platform, or give the show a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you're watching on YouTube. I hope you will join me next week to examine another contradiction claim. So have a good week, and God bless you.